Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome, as always, to our coffee times to discuss books and horror. And today I come to you with a mystery classic, and that is The Return of the Screw by Henry James from 1898.
It's coffee time!
So recently, in the month of July, I read two books that are heavily influenced by The Turn of the Screw. So I decided to make a video to talk to you guys a little bit about the source material, then to let you know some books that are kind of retelling the story, others are more kind of with the same vibe, and also to let you know some of the movie adaptations or some other movies that have the same vibe. So this is a book and movie recommendation video. The Turn of the Screw is a horror novella that was written back in 1898 by Henry James, and it was actually originally published as a serial in a magazine called Collider's Weekly, so it was released bit by bit in the magazine. The novella follows a governess that is taking care of the children at this beautiful mansion, but at some point she starts to suspect that the place must be haunted. The Turn of the Screw is considered horror fiction as well as gothic. On Christmas Eve, an unnamed narrator gathers his friends around the fire, and one of them starts to tell a story by reading a manuscript. The manuscript is retelling the story of the governess and her time that she spent at the supposedly haunted Bly Manor. The novella has been adapted multiple times, including a Broadway play, an opera, there's also a couple of films, and there's also a miniseries. Now let's jump into the book recommendations. We have first This House is Haunted by John Boyne. We follow Eliza in 1867 as she arrives to the place where she's going to be working. From now on, she has taken on a job as a governess. We follow her as she is traveling to the manor to take that position as a governess, and she's traveling by train. So at the platform, at the train station, she already feels like something or someone is pushing her, and she almost lands in front of the train. So she was just barely saved already from death. When she finally arrives to the manor, still shaken up from this accident, she gets to meet the children and she realizes that there are no adults to be seen at all in the place. The children offer no explanation as of why there are no other adults in the place, and on top of that, which is already kind of suspicious, during the first night there, she's going to feel and hear things that are very quite concerning to her. Eliza realizes very quickly that there is something, some presence, something hunting the place, so she's gonna have to try and figure out the mystery of this place, the mystery of the family, if she wants to stay alive and also keep the children safe. Moving on to a recent release, which is the only one left by Riley Sager. So this one doesn't have a governess, but instead of a governess that goes and takes care of the manor and the children, we have Kit, who is a caregiver that goes to take care of Lenora, an elderly woman that lives at a mansion called Hope's End. Lenora was the only survivor of a family massacre that happened in that very same house in 1929. Even though she was the only survivor and she had blood in her hands, nothing could prove that she was guilty. She claims she's innocent and that she did not kill her family. She was never convicted, so she lives as a free woman inside of Hope's End. When Kit arrives to take care of Lenora, Lenora will let her know that she's ready to tell her story about what happened that night in 1929 where her whole family was butchered. So we do have this kind of creepy house, haunted manor vibe, and instead of the children here, we have a very odd, very weird elderly woman. The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. We follow Rowan, and she is looking at the newspaper for something else when she comes across an ad, and it is this rich family that is looking for a nanny, like a resident nanny that would live in the house with them and take care of their children, and they're paying a lot of money for this job. So she's really excited about the ad and decides to apply because she wants to leave her current job and feels like this is going to be the great opportunity for her to do that. When Rowan gets to the house, she realizes it's like a smart house with cameras and all type of devices, and she's excited about the job, but she meets basically the family and the children in day one, and she's already left alone with the children for a couple of weeks, which is already odd. Like, that is already a red flag. And Rowan is getting used to the house, getting used to the children, when on top of that, during the night, she starts hearing things and almost seeing things. She thinks the house might be haunted, and she doesn't know what to do because she's basically all by herself in this big house. This was a very interesting twist of the story. I did listen to this on audiobook. I do recommend the audiobook. I think it was really good and I had a lot of fun with it. This is also a book that is being told basically through a very long letter that our main character Rowan writes, and you get all the explanation and everything already at the beginning, and it was quite interesting to me. I really liked the twist that they gave to the story. So if you're looking for something like The Turn of the Screw but with a twist, this one might really work for you. The Vanishing by Wendy Webb, where we follow Julia that has been left basically penniless by her husband and she needs a fresh start. So when a stranger appears at her door making her this great offer to be the caretaker of their mother, she decides to take the position. Also because the mother is Amari Sinclair, who is a very well-known horror writer. Julia has always admired her and her work, but the whole world believes that she's actually dead. Julia thinks the position is too good to be true, obviously, like in most of these books, but she decides to take the position. She's really intrigued to get to know Amaris and try to figure out why she pretended that she was dead, what happened to her, why did she stop writing. So this is going to be great for people that are looking again for a twist on the story and that love books about horror writers as well. The Silent Companions by Lara Pucel, and we follow Elsie, and she is under the impression that once she marries, you know, her life is going to get much better. She thinks she's finally gonna have that life of luxury that she's always wanted, but shortly after their wedding, a couple of weeks later, her husband dies. Elsie is left alone with her husband's cousin, as everybody that works in the house, you know, the service and the people from the village seem to be resenting her for what happened. In her new house, she is investigating the rooms when she finds something, a wooden figure, a silent companion that looks too similar to her, and from then on, that's when the kind of like weird, unsettling mood starts to fall in. This is a Victorian Gothic story and it's perfect for those that are looking for a very atmospheric tale. A Darker Shade by Laura K. Curtis. We follow here Molly. She's struggling after the death of her mother and she has finished college but she doesn't know what to do with her life. She needs to find a job really quickly in order to pay for all the fees and everything that she needs, and so she decides to take a job that, again, like in most of these cases, sounds too good to be true. So she finds herself traveling to Maine to work at a house to take care of a little girl. So she's going to be the nanny in the house taking care of this little girl, and the girl stopped talking the day that she claims she saw the ghost of her deceased mother. The father claims there is no such thing as ghosts and the paranormal and stuff, and so Molly gets into the house and she starts to get to know the little girl and she starts to find out more about the family and the secrets, and she gets an extra bonus if she stays for the whole year. But will she be able to make it? The Haunting of Ashbourne House by Darcy Coates. Now, this one is not exactly the same plot, I would say, but it has the exact same vibe and it is a really good atmospheric ghost story. Edith is an old woman that lives in Ashbourne House. There is many rumors that the place is haunted and Edith would not let anybody into the house. When she dies, her only living relative, Adrienne, a young woman, inherits the place, and because she has nowhere else to go and she needs the place, she needs the money, she decides to move in with her cat. Adrienne doesn't believe in ghosts, but the longer she stays in this place, the more she starts to realize that there is a possibility that the place is indeed haunted. She will have to uncover secrets of the family and see if the rumors of Ashbourne House are actually true. And last but not least, we have Inheriting Her Ghost by S.H. Cooper, and I chose this one because it's also a novella, so it is a little bit shorter. Eudora doesn't really like people, she likes to keep to herself, so when she learns that she has inherited her great aunt's manor, she decides that would be the best place for her to move in, to be left alone and just live, peacefully. However, inside of the place, she's going to realize that there's many mysteries and secrets involved in this place, and apart from that, there is some sort of presence that will lead her to believe that she's not the only one there. Now let's talk about the movies that were made. Some of them were true adaptations of the story, while others, were a little bit just influenced by the book, but were not exactly 100% a retelling. We have The Innocents, which is a gothic psychological horror film. Its plot follows a governess who watches over two children and comes to fear that their large estate is haunted by ghosts and that the children are being possessed. The Nightcomers is a British horror film and a prequel to Henry James' The Turn of the Screw. The film centers on Peter, played by Marlon Brando, a gardener at a remote country estate in England, who begins a kinky sexual relationship with nurse Miss Jessel. What they do not realize is that two children, siblings who live at the manor, Flora and Miles, have seen and taken to imitating their adult behavior, which will lead to trouble for all. Otra vuelta de tuerca. A sexually conflicted young man is hired to take care of two orphan siblings in a remote seaside mansion and soon realizes that the ghosts of two former servants are trying to possess the children. Presence of Mind is a Spanish-American drama in which a woman is hired to watch over two recently orphaned children, Flora and her brother Miles. The woman starts seeing ghosts and the children begin some very peculiar and disturbing behavior. In a Dark Place is the horror film version of The Turn of the Screw. Anna, a disturbed arts teacher, works for Mr. Life, the tutor of the orphan siblings Flora and her brother Miles, and raises the children in a huge mansion in Bly. The Others. This is not a true adaptation, but it does have some common themes with James' novella. Grace moves into a new house with her two photosensitive children in Jersey. When a series of inexplicable events occur, Grace starts believing that her house is haunted. The Turning. Kate Mandel takes a job as a nanny for two young orphans at an isolated Gothic mansion in the Maine countryside. She soon learns that the children, Miles and Flora, are emotionally distant and unstable. When strange events start to plague Kate and the siblings, she begins to suspect that the state's dark corridors are home to a malevolent entity. The Haunting of Bly Manor, a gothic romance drama miniseries created by Mike Flanagan. It is the story of a young au pair hired by a man to look after his niece and nephew at the family country house after they fall into his care. Arriving at the Bly estate, she begins to see apparitions that proceed to haunt the premises. Alright you guys, so this was my video on The Turn of the Screw with a little bit of information on the source material, some book recommendations, and also some movie recommendations. So I hope you really enjoyed this. I would like to make more videos like this one because there are some classic stories that have been remade, or there are books that have been inspired by those. So I think it would be nice to see, what kind of books and movies have been done adapting some older mystery or horror books. I hope that you did enjoy the video. Let me know down below if you like the story in general or which other classics you would like me to talk about. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!